All right, so we wanted to give you guys our biggest surprises in each power conference, okay? We each get one. It could be good. It could be bad. Now, don't worry. We're going live again soon. Everything's fine. You're going to love it. But we're getting close enough to the season where we're not going to make our predictions, at least I'm not, until at least halfway through fall camp. Because I got to know who's playing quarterback. I got to know who's hurt. We all understand how this works. Crazy stuff happens in fall camp. But that doesn't mean that we can't run downstairs on Christmas morning, go look up and just open a present. All right?
I like
just
that.
see one.
Let's
you like
open
that?
one
I
up.
love Christmas. It's like my second favorite holiday, past Flag Day. But we're going to start in the SEC, okay? David Coneth, the fourth.
You want me to start?
I want you to start.
Is it because you know which team I'm picking? Are you trying to read my mind here? Because I'm going with the Auburn Tigers.
Oh, God.
Look, I don't need to tell you guys what Hugh Freeze has been doing on the recruiting trail since he's been at the Plain so far. 5-7 a year ago, 2-6 in the conference, didn't go bowling. Boys, I think Auburn's going to mess around and surprise some people. I got the schedule right here. UMass, California, and Sanford.
You got to go 3-0, right?
Come on, let's go 3-0. Let's get off to a hot start. Maybe make David Cone look good on the show. You know what I mean? Then we go to Texas A&M. All right, we got to figure it out. I don't know what Jimbo Fisher's got cooked up over there, but I know that this is the year. For Texas A&M.
Wait till you get to my prediction.
Because that's every year. Okay. Georgia, but you get them on the Plains.
Doesn't
all right,
matter.
let's see what happens.
Doesn't matter.
I need you to slap that sign. I need you to believe. All right, at LSU, that's not a great stretch. At LSU. Okay?
It hurts so bad.
Ole Miss and Mississippi State back-to-back at home. We go to Vanderbilt. Hey, let's pick up a win. You go to Arkansas. New Mexico State is the fourth game in the non-conference schedule, and then you got the Iron Bowl. Look, I think Hugh Freeze is going to get Auburn right, man.
Look, you mess around. I think 8's so doable on that one.
We'll love that.
But between that, if you can, I know this is not nearly as easy as what I'm saying.
Say it.
If you could split one of the two at home, I think you'll have a good shot against Alabama this year. I really do, because of what Hugh's done up front in the transfer portal. Now, on the offensive line, biggest question is pass rush. That's going to be huge for Auburn. But you should start out 3-0. You go and sneak one. Who knows with A&M? I mean, who knows? Flip a coin with this Jimbo Fisher, Bobby Petrino situation. You get to 4-0, and you're able to you're probably going to lose against Georgia at home. It's going to be really tough at LSU. You're at 4-2, and you can get to 6-2. You get to 6-2 down the stretch. It could get really, 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 really weird very quickly in a good way. And we know how Jordan-Hare is, right? And they got some big games at home. It's built on an Indian burial ground. We all know that. Don't bury your pet near it. It's going to come back to life in an evil form. But, Cone, I'm with you, man.
Let's say you go 4-0 in the non-conference. There's 4 right there. You got to figure something out on the road against Arkansas. That's going to be a tough game to win. You got to figure out something on the road against LSU. And then, like you said, you get Georgia and Alabama both at home. But, look, those are tough games to win. Jordan-Hare that's the Bermuda Triangle, though. So I don't know, man. I don't know if there's 8 wins there, but I just think that Hugh Freeze is going to get this thing going in a good direction early. And when you're an offensive-minded head coach, you can sneak some teams in your first year.
Especially first year. We see it all the time. We see it all the time. My team is a bad surprise, okay? And, Cone, I know you love picking them, right?
Oh, I know where this is going.
And I actually hope, and you may not believe me, I hope I'm wrong on this, all right? I feel like Tennessee's going to take a step back.
I agree.
For one main reason. Joe Milton. And look, in that system, I'm not saying you don't have to be Joe Montana. You got to know when to spit the screen out there. You run a very fast pace that catches the defense in base. I just don't know if Joe Milton can make the throws. And everybody talks about, he's got such a big arm. He's got such a big arm. We've talked about it a million times on here. He doesn't have great touch on the deep ball, if you watch. It's not like Joe Milton is one of those guys that you almost hope he holds the ball too long before he throws it deep, because if he throws it on time, he has a very bad habit of overthrowing wide receivers down the field. But that's not even the biggest question mark to me. The biggest question mark is, can you throw the changeup? We use the Major League Baseball reference all the time here, right? That's great. You have a nice fastball. Go ahead to the major leagues and see what only having a nice fastball, you can't control anything else, gets you. You know what it gets you? Get your ass ran out of that league as quick as anybody in there. There's a lot of guys with strong arms, but that's why it's called passing and not throwing, right? That's why it's called pitching and not throwing. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about how strong your arm is. It's not just about how good your mind is, because I think Joe Milton knows what he's looking at. I really think he does. But it's those throws in the in-between, being able to complete the slant, being able to complete the dig. He can throw the whole shot versus cover two as good as anybody. I think he can throw the now screen as good as anybody. But those touch passes, is he going to be able to make those plays? And then you look at the schedule. It's never easy with Tennessee, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, because what's going to happen is if Joe Milton's not able to perform, there is a 5-star behind him that everybody in Tennessee is excited about, that flashed a little bit during the spring. We know how popular the backup quarterback always is, and if Joe Milton struggles early, I feel like that leash is so small, they will replace him. And you look at guys like Quinn Ewers, and really 99% of freshman quarterbacks, it goes up and down when they come in. So this may be the year where they got to get him ready to go through the good and the bad, talking about the backup quarterback, the freshman, the 5-star, that kind of makes your season take a step back a little bit. So I hope I'm wrong. The Tennessee fan base deserves, I think they're back in the long term with Josh Heupel. This just may not be the year that a lot of them are thinking about, and it's because of the quarterback position.
What do you think, Blaine?
I believe Joe Milton's not the guy. I think they're going to be going to the backup quicker than a lot of other people expect.
For non-injury related,
yeah.
You got beat out?
Mm-hmm. I think the backup will be a better player.
I hate that, too, because Joe Milton, he's from my father's hometown of Pahokee, Florida, went to Michigan. He was named the starter at Michigan. It didn't work out. I do agree with you, but I don't think that last season was an anomaly for Tennessee. I think Josh Heupel has them headed in the right direction.
Right. The system's there. He lost a lot of receiver, but I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about the quarterback position.
So who are you thinking in the SEC?
I was going through some teams right here. I was leaning Texas A&M for a good surprise.
No, you
as good surprise as winning.
That's a lie.
As winning.
Don't lie to these people, man.
As winning 8 games. That was going to be my good surprise. But, we talked to somebody on the show, and I like Missouri.
Really?
Yeah. The schedule's
good surprise.
Good surprise. The schedule's not great. All right. The out-of-conference is not great. It's Kansas State, Memphis, like South Dakota. It's not a walk.
Middle Tennessee.
But the thing about Missouri is they had one of the best defenses in the SEC last year, giving up 24 points a game. You look at the games that they were close in, Kentucky, Georgia, Auburn, all these one-possession games that they just fell on the wrong side of the coin. And I think Brady Cook returning, if Eli Drinkowitz can get the offense on pace, they only average 24 points a game, and that's hard to win a lot of games. If he can get them a little bit above that, I think the Missouri Tigers can win maybe 7 to 8 games. Go bowling, and who knows? When it comes to surprises in the SEC, Missouri has to be up there because they have the talent, they have the athletes. They just haven't put a season together to where. What did TCU do in the entire last year? They won one possession games, right? And if you can fall to 60-70% in one possession games and winning that, who knows? Missouri might slip up and win 9 games. So my big surprise this year might be Missouri Tigers.
Okay.
I hope for Drink. I hope so for Drinkwitz's case. Guys, before we continue, I got to talk about Black Rifle. Right? Coffee is the lifeblood. Okay, when if you know how when they like get a shark they thought ate somebody and they cut him open, and it's like a tire and a license plate. If they cut me up and just be Black Rifle coffee, because that's what I have to have. And they have great. Again, there's a lot of different coffees out there, but it's smooth. Whether it's Power Llama, whether it's Gunship, all right, the Headless Horseman's Roast, which I believe is Conathan's favorite. They've got great variety, and in case you don't have time to brew coffee, I get it. Everybody's in a hurry. They have their Black Rifle coffees ready to drink. Cans, 200 milligrams of caffeine. Look, it's a veteran-founded coffee company, and every time you make a purchase here, right, they give back. They honor the men and women who serve this country. So stop running out of coffee and sign up for a Coffee Club subscription. David, your favorite, as I mentioned, is the Headless Horseman's Roast?
I like the Headless Horseman's Roast. I like the Fool's Gold. I like Gunship. I like Silencer Smooth, Power Llama, Lava Panther, Just Black, Beyond Black, all the rest of them.
Nice. What about you?
Well,
called Cones Combo.
Great. I'm a big vanilla bomb guy.
That is true. And the caramel vanilla, please, all over me. I love it. Save money and drink America's coffee. Go to blackriflecoffee.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER, that's BOOSTER, and check out for 10% off your one-time purchase or first Coffee Club order. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Promo code BOOSTER for 10% off. You can find it in grocery and convenience stores near you. But head on over to blackriflecoffee.com. Black Rifle Coffee, America's coffee. All right, guys, let's go to the ACC. All right, I'll kick us off. Okay, there's a lot expected out of both Carolinas this year. South Carolina, the SEC, and North Carolina. We know Drake May's coming back. I know they did lose Josh Downs, but they have a ton of talent returning on offense. But I'm going bad surprise. I'm going bad surprise here. I think the book's out on Drake May's legs, right? He was a leading rusher last year, had almost 900 yards. We know how talented he is. I think, and Drake's an incredible passer. He's an NFL player, right? I'd put him right behind Caleb Williams. 1-2 to me. But I think we're going to find out how Drake adjusts to the adjustment. We talk about this all the time. We'll use another Major League Baseball reference. How many times do we see young rookie pitchers come up to the big leagues for the first time? First couple starts, they look amazing. Fan base thinks, oh, we have the next Cy Young. This guy's going to be a Hall of Famer, whatever. Then all of a sudden, that fourth, fifth, sixth start, after the hitters have adjusted to how you actually pitch, they start knocking you around a little bit. Then you have to adjust to the adjustment, and it's a revolving cycle. Offensively, though, losing Phil Longo is a bigger deal than what I think a lot of people are making. Going to Wisconsin, which we're going to get to them in a little bit. He was a big part of the feel that Drake May had. They had such a good communication skill set. They kind of knew what each other was best at, what each other went to, while still able to mix it up. Offensively, they're not going to be awful. I'm not saying that. They're going to be good offensively. But defensively up front, you return a lot of guys. But they were so bad last year. So bad. And I don't see a bunch of guys making such a huge step defensively up front to be able to do what North Carolina thinks they can do. Because look, North Carolina, when you look at it from preseason expectations, they're expected to have a chance to compete for the ACC, have a chance to maybe sneak into the playoff. But then I look at this schedule. And at first, when you look at the schedule, you're like, it's not that bad, whatever. But when you really look at it, this is not an easy schedule. You go to South Carolina week 1. That place is going to be nuts. All right, and they have a lot of expectations. I know they're bad up front on both sides of the ball, especially when they lost Nichols at left tackle. But South Carolina and Shane Beamer, the special teams angle, what they're going to be defensively, the guys they got running around on the outside. I know they lost Marshawn Lloyd and Jaheim Bell, but I like some of the pieces they still have. I like South Carolina in this game right now. All right, so I think you're starting out 0-1. Then you get App State at home. Don't forget last year, and I know it was at App, North Carolina should have lost that game.
Yeah.
Really should have lost it. So App's not going to go in there scared, oh, we can't compete with these guys, even though I think North Carolina's going to win. Then you got Minnesota at home. That's not an easy stretch without a bye week in between. Going South Carolina, App State, who's not your run-of-the-mill cupcake, and then you got a Minnesota team that is built on moving the ball up front. Now, we'll see what PJ and them can do from a passing game standpoint. It's going to be interesting to see. Then you go to Pittsburgh. Not an easy place to play at all. Then you get Syracuse at home. All right, we know the quarterback situation there with transfer and Garrett Schrader. I know they lost their big-time back, but at the end of the day, it's not an easy place to play there in the Dome. You get Miami at home, Virginia at home. You go to Georgia Tech and Campbell. That's a stretch, and we don't know what Miami's going to be. Tony Elliott and Virginia it's a misnomer. I don't know what they're going to be. We got to see in year 2. I hope they figure it out. But Campbell, that should be your easiest stretch with Duke there. Then you end the season at Clemson and at NC State. And do not forget who NC State picked up in Brennan Armstrong. Okay, so I see 4 losses on this schedule. I think there is a very real possibility that North Carolina goes 8-4. And that, to me, I think would be a disappointment to the North Carolina.
And that would keep Drake May from winning the Heisman. I don't think you can win it with 8.
No.
And, as much as everyone's talking about North Carolina, and they went 9-5 a season ago, just down Tobacco Road, Duke went 9-4 last year.
I know, isn't that nuts?
Duke went 9-4 and 5-3 in the conference. So I'm going to take Mike Elko. I'm going to take Mike Elko and the Duke Blue Devils for a surprise in the ACC, just because no one's talking about him, and I think he's laid the infrastructure for a good football program there. Now, the schedule is not a lot of fun, but that leaves room for a surprise and for you to overperform. You're going to get Clemson, you got Notre Dame, and you got Pitt. You're going to play all of them at home, and then you're going to be on the road to Florida State, on the road to Louisville, and on the road to North Carolina. So, look, you have an opportunity to really impress some people, and that Clemson game is at home right off the bat. That's a Monday nighter, September 4th.
I mean, who do you bring back? You bring back Riley Leonard, potential first-round pick. Most of your offense. You bring back 8 starters on defense. Your defense, went from, 130th to 60-something last year?
Yeah.
Ranking nationally. I believe in this Duke team. Riley Leonard's a problem.
He really is a problem.
He's an absolute problem. If he improves throwing the ball, the kid can run. Absolutely. But he improves throwing the ball, I believe. I believe in Duke. I think the schedule is doable, to be honest. If we're going to go to another team we're going to flirt around with, what about Louisville?
Man.
What about the Louisville
With Braun back?
who's not on this schedule when it comes to ACC? There's no Clemson, which is huge. No North Carolina, which is huge. Your tough games, you have to go to NC State. All right, you got to go to Pitt. All right, you have to go to Miami. But other than that, you have Boston College. Notre Dame's not going to be fun. I'm going to be honest. You're going to get beat up on the line of
Where's that game?
That's at home. That's at Louisville. All right, then you go, you have Virginia at home, Virginia Tech at home, Duke at home. You go to Indiana, and you go to Georgia Tech. I mean, obviously, when Braum coming in, the good thing about Braum is he's going to get it to your best players, right? That's the way Braum, he's a passing guy. He's always been like that. Your defense was second in the ACC last year with 15 interceptions. So you can turn the ball over. You weren't great up front on the line of scrimmage, but you get Jamari Thrash from Georgia State, 1,000-plus yard receiver who's going to be an NFL draft pick. I think when it comes, the quarterback position is going to be a question after what you lost from Malik. But I think with Braum and his coaching ability, just his schematics on offense and his system, I think Louisville has that. Louisville's always had athletes, especially skill position players, receivers, backs, quarterbacks, but up front is when Louisville struggled. So if they can turn the ball over, win key games on the road, and the quarterback can keep them afloat and get the ball to Jamari Thrash, and if you watch Jamari Thrash at Georgia State, the kid's an absolute problem. Maybe the fastest kid in college football coming up this year. So if there's a team that surprises anybody in the ACC this year, in my opinion, I think it's going to be the Louisville Cardinals.
And David, I want to say this. I think you can make the argument. You really could make the argument Mike Elko did the best job coaching last year in college football. Mm-hmm. If they would have given Mike Elko Coach of the Year, I would have not had a problem with it. Not that Kirby didn't deserve it. There's a bunch of deserving guys, but what he did with that Duke program, and look, we love David Cutcliffe here on this show. Yeah. But that was a very tough and unbelievably quick rebuild, and getting those guys to buy in and believe as much as he did, I thought was fantastic. All right, guys, listen, you know what the biggest organ in your body is?
Your skin.
It's your skin.
Good.
Okay, and you want to take care of it. So if you have dehydrated skin, you're covered in dark spots, you just don't feel good about it, guess what? You got a new lease on life. Genucel Skincare. Okay, they cracked the code. They Alan Turing this thing. They figured it out. All right, they've extended your chance to get their most popular package as well, featuring beautifully curated skincare essentials for life outside during the summer. And they have the answer to everything. Look, you talk about puffiness under the eyes, something you've talked about a lot. I look at your eyes right now. I don't see any puffy.
If
promise? You were Cheetos, there would be no puffy.
You mean it?
It would just, yeah, I mean it. You look great. You're glowing.
Genucel twice a
day.
But
the Genucel's limited time summer essentials package includes their one-of-a-kind ultra retinol super moisturizer. Okay, and if you got a problem, Genucel skincare is for men, it's for women. You can figure it out. So go to Genucel.com. That's GENUCEL.com/booster right now to get your Genucel summer essentials package for over 65% off. That's more free than it's not. You don't have to be a mathematician to figure that out. All right, and just for the summer, every subscription order, and not only do you get 65% off, it includes a summer spa gift box, absolutely free.
Goodness.
So go to Genucel.com/booster, GENUCEL.com/booster, and get that great offer because you got skin in the game. I want to go over to the Pac-12.
All right.
Now, and I say this because it's Arizona's my team, okay? I think Jed Fish has quietly done an incredible job over there, okay? Now, defensively, they've still got a long way to go. They're going to be better in my mind, but he has done wonders fixing that offensive line on an offense that was top 20 in the country last year with Jake DeLaura, the Washington State transfer at quarterback. I'm very high on him. Now, they won 5 games last year, which was somewhat of a surprise, all right? You beat North Dakota State, you beat San Diego State, you beat Colorado, you won at number 12 UCLA at the time, and you beat Arizona State at home. Now, fast forward to 2023. If you can win 5 in this schedule, 5 or 6, and get to a bowl game, this may be the hardest schedule in the Pac-12 when you look at it. But I think they've still got that under-the-radar sneakiness. They've obviously got the chip on their shoulder, right? They got more experience at the quarterback position. They're better on the offensive line. Defensively, I think they're going to be a little bit better. You got Northern Arizona at home, okay? You go to Mississippi State, which is going to be tough with Coach Arnett and Will Rogers and the group they got. You got UTEP at home. You go to Stanford, that's winnable. Then you get Washington at home, right? Then you go to USC back-to-back. All right? There's no ducking anybody in the Pac-12 on this schedule. Then you go to Washington State. You get Oregon State at home. You get UCLA at home. You go to Colorado. You get Utah at home. Then you go to Arizona State. So you get UCLA, Washington, and Utah at home. I think they could win 2 of them. I really believe that with this team. And if they can get to 6-6 with this schedule, it's just another notch on the belt as Arizona continues to come back a little bit. Because I think you can win at Arizona. I really believe you can win, not just in basketball, right, but in football as well. And I think Jedd Fisch has quietly done such a good job. And again, Northern Arizona, 1 win. UTEP, another win. You could say, Colorado? It's going to be tough at Arizona State. You get Oregon State at home. That's going to be tough to get 6, but I think they can do it.
I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to go with UCLA. Everybody's been talking about USC. We've been talking a lot about Oregon and Washington and Utah. Those are like the heavy hitters in the conference. With UCLA losing Dorian Thompson-Robinson and losing Zach Charbonnet, they kind of flying under the radar. But this team went 9-4. And 6-3 in the conference. And, the question was, okay, is Chip Kelly just having sort of his moment at UCLA, or is he legitimately, solidified that foundation, sort of like he did at Oregon before he went off to the Eagles? I think Chip Kelly is working on something special at UCLA, and we'll see how this Dante Moore kid comes in and if he's going to win the starting job or not. But, when you look at the schedule, it's not great. And we talked about this a little bit the other day, especially in the non-conference. Starting off with Coastal Carolina at home and then going to San Diego State. That's not awesome when you're looking at easy wins to pick up in the non-conference, but it's great from a college football fan viewing standpoint because I love to see UCLA starting off like this. Then you're going to get Utah on the road, Oregon State on the road, and USC all on the road this season. That's not great, but who's not on the schedule? Oregon's not on the schedule, and Washington isn't on the schedule for UCLA. So when we're talking about surprise teams, while they are flying under the radar, I'm kind of looking at UCLA this season.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy at all.
Yeah, they replaced Carson Steele. He's going to be the new run back to transfer. He led the nation.
The guy who looks like he hangs out with Rufio.
Yeah, so I mean, they're Colin Shee. We'll see that transfer just came in, who's pretty good. So I always believe in Chip, man. That's what he does on offense. I think UCLA is a good pick. Go with the Colorado Buffs.
Yeah.
What's an improvement though?
Yeah, that's my question.
I think they're over under this year's 4.5 when it comes to win. They won 1 game last year. They're absolutely terrible. We're seeing what Coach Prime has already came in and done. One of the best transfer classes you see in. His son's going to be playing quarterback. I mean, you got great transfers all around, and you got kids I probably believe. And I know the way Deion's kind of came, and it's been a little harsh saying that most of these kids aren't even going to be here. Anyways, if you want to leave, get out. The schedule's not any easier. I mean, you start week 1, you go to TCU. All right, you got Nebraska week 2, but Colorado State, it's going to be an interesting game. You go to Oregon. It was fun for coming. Appreciate it. You have USC at home. This sucks. Then you go to Arizona State, winnable game in my opinion. Then you have Stanford at home. Stanford's not the team they were. All right, it's a winnable game. You go to UCLA. All right, I think there's 5 wins in here if you're Colorado.
5?
I think there's 5. You got Travis Hunter, until you really...
10% of their roster is like...
I know. You're just worried when it comes to Colorado. You're worried up front on both sides of the ball. You're not going to be great. All right, but if anybody can get these guys ready to play in big-time games, I mean, it's got to be Prime, right? And they've improved. They obviously, from the running back position to the receiver position to the quarterback position, and there's no way you haven't improved on defense if you average giving up 48 points a game.
Yeah, look, that's the best part about taking over a place that won 1 game the year before you came in. You win 2, you doubled the win total. Right? You doubled it. You win 5? You win 5. He may
Stanford,
not be at Colorado.
Michigan State's calling.
Yeah, they're just going to they may fire Mel Tucker.
I say Stanford, Arizona State, Colorado State, Nebraska.
And who else?
Washington State on the road.
Man, you think they're going to beat Nebraska?
Okay.
You think they're going to beat Nebraska?
I think they can.
Dude, that Matt Rule, Deion Sanders match.
I'm here for it.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
I'm here for it.
Okay, gentlemen. The other day, we had steaks ready to go. Put them on the grill. Put some vegetables on the grill. Walked out there. Turned the grill on. Turned the propane on.
Yes, sir.
Little flame.
Kill me.
Then no flame.
What?
No flame. Propane tank was out.
The flame at blow.
Instead of panicking, this is a 2 o'clock in the afternoon cookout, all right? There's no time to just go somewhere else, all right? Then it hit me. We're sponsored by the #1 propane tank exchange and delivery service there is with Cynch.
We are.
All right? Because the perfect summer night would not be complete without Cynch or a propane tank. Now, if you have charcoal, what are you going to light it with, David?
Yeah.
When you got your grill gun with no propane tank.
What does it connect to? Propane.
That's exactly right. It's science. Don't blame me. It's science. And our friends over at Cynch.com, they have the best way to go about it. Okay? So if you're going to grill and you need a propane grill tank, this is the move. They deliver it. It's contactless, right to your door on your schedule, and there's no long-term commitment required, even though I pledge my allegiance to them. They basically, to put it, they have my sword, okay? That's what Cynch has. So Go to cynch.com, cynch.com, or download the Cynch app and use promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, to get your first tank exchange for just $10. That's cynch.com, promo code BOOSTER. This is a limited time offer, so hurry up, all right? And you must live within a Cynch service area to redeem it. Visit cynch.com/offer for details. All right, so I want to move to, as I absolutely lose my mind, the Big 12 right here.
Okay.
Okay, and I've been gassing this team up the whole time. All right, I already said they're going to upset Oregon week 2. And that's Joey McGuire.
Yes.
Joey McGuire and the boys from Lubbock. Okay, it's Texas Tech, the Red Raiders. All right, Indiana Jones' favorite team. You've seen Tyler Shough. Know how talented he is. I love the speed on this team. I think they're going to be good enough up front and the style that they run, a little bit Tennessee-ish in how they operate offensively. They're not in warp speed, right? They're not traveling through the wormhole, but they're getting through space pretty quick. Here's what you got. At Wyoming, week 1. Josh Allen doesn't play for them anymore, not worried. Oregon, week 2. Huge one. You talk about a season just swinger. If you can win it, I got them beating Oregon week 2. Tarleton, not a walk in the park. If you know anything about college football, not just high Division I, Tarleton is not an easy game, but I think they're going to win it. At West Virginia, it's a win. I think Neil Brown's on his way out. I hate it because I love Neil, but I think he's on his way out. So that'd be a 4-0 start, boys. That'd be a 4-0 start. Then you get Houston at home. Winnable. Clayton Tune, who was out of tune most of the year last year, is gone. We'll see what they replace him with, even though Dana Holgerson, never sleep on the guy who has the same hair as the villain from Kingpin. Then at Baylor, that's going to be tough. Yeah, Dave Aranda has no hair, a.k.a. One Punch Man. That one's going to be tough. K-State at home. I think that's winnable. You just got to be able to match up with him physically. Deuce Vaughn, the little witch, he's Gonzo the Clown. Then you go to BYU. It's hard to beat a team that's based off of religion on their home turf, but if anybody can do it, Texas Tech can. Then you get TCU at home, at Kansas, UCF at home, and at Texas. Boys, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wins for Texas Tech. Texas Tech, 9-3. Guns up.
I like that, man. I was going to go Texas Tech, too, and not just because Joey McGuire came on this show, even though that's a big part of it. I really like that. And we're going to find out early, too, because I think how they play Oregon there in week 2 is going to be very telling. And then also Kansas, man. I don't know how much you could say Kansas is a surprise after what they did last year, but still, you don't think of Kansas as being that true blue-blooded football program in the Big 12. But, man, if they can build off what they were able to do last year, Kansas could be a nice pick, too.
No, without a doubt. I mean, what Coach Leipold's done there, you look at Jalen Daniels coming back. It's just interesting to talk about Kansas and it not be a joke when it comes to football. But I remember the Mark Mangino days, man. I remember when Kansas was legit, Aqib Talib and those guys going to the Orange Bowl. Like, I remember that. So it's going to be interesting to watch those two teams.
Speaking of One Punch Man, give me the Baylor Bears.
Oh, God.
All right, you're bringing back Blake Shapen, who I think is going to have a better year, especially throwing the ball. He's going to be more comfortable in the pocket. And the thing about it, you're not used for a coach who ran a team not being great on defense. Yeah. They were not great on defense last year, but I think they're going to be a lot better than this year. They got a little bit more experience. You look at their schedule, not super stoked about it, but I'm not too upset about it either. I mean, you have Utah week 2, not great, but you go to UCF, you go to Cincinnati, you go to Kansas State, and to TCU. I feel like if you can split those games, you'll be okay. I think the Baylor Bears this year are going to be a big surprise when it comes to their conference. I think Blake Shapen is going to have be the difference, and he might be, hot take, a Heisman finalist.
Is that Utah game at Baylor?
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, Utah's non-conference.
Utah's like, we'll play anyone.
Yeah. Good Lord. All right, last one. And again, let us know. Who do you think, what surprises do you have from each conference? It can be multiple, doesn't matter, good or bad. Last one here, the Big Ten. And David, as the former Big Ten quarterback, I'm going to let you play quarterback on this one.
I'm going to take Wisconsin. I mean, I don't understand why not here. This is a team that was 7-6 a year ago, 4-5 in conference. But remember, Paul Chryst left this place in great shape. I mean, he won over 60 games there. You got Buffalo, Washington State, and Georgia Southern in your non-conference to start things off. And while I did call Georgia Southern over Nebraska a year ago, there with the, Hail Southern. I don't know if it's going to be quite the same going up to Camp Randall. But Luke Fickell coming in, like you talked about, Phil Longo coming in as the OC and bringing in Tanner Mordecai from SMU.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
They're putting something together where I look at this right here and I think, man, Wisconsin could play in the Big Ten championship this season.
Yeah, there's still divisions. It's the last year of divisions, too.
Still in divisions.
Big Ten West.
And so like we said, so here starts the Big Ten schedule. At Purdue, Rutgers home, Iowa home, at Illinois. You get the Buckeyes at home, at Indiana, Northwestern and Nebraska back-to-back at home, and then you finish on the road at Minnesota.
No Michigan.
So no Michigan on the schedule, and when you play the Buckeyes, you get them at home and you get Iowa at home. That combined with the non-conference, I'm thinking, why couldn't this team win 9 or 10 games and represent the West in the Big Ten Conference?
I mean,
Luke Fickell,
I think right now they're my favorite in the Big Ten West. I mean, the minute I thought I'd be talking about Wisconsin running the air raid and Mississippi State not just blows my mind going into this season. And it's not like it's going to be just true 100% air raid at Wisconsin. There's going to be a ton of air raid principles in it with Phil Longo. But you talked about Tanner Mordecai, all right? And they have some guys out wide that they feel like are stepping up. But Braylon Allen's top 5 back in the country, and it's not even close. And we know Wisconsin's going to be good up front. So they're going to have time for some of these routes to develop, be able to take care of space. I think you're going to see Braylon Allen be so much more involved in the passing game in a good way, not just Graham Mertz closing his eyes and throwing the check down and hoping to God it goes good. But the schedule, like you brought up, without Michigan, I mean, I would not be surprised, David. I would not be surprised if Wisconsin went 11-1.
11-1 is very aggressive, and that would be their loss to the Buckeyes.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If they are what we think they're going to be, right? Because they got the personnel to flip it. We've seen what they did in the transfer portal. You look at the coaching. Let's just say Ohio State's a loss, and that's at home. All right, that's at Camp Randall where they're jumping around. Okay, that's not an easy place to play. That's where a lot of dreams go to die. But who else on this schedule is better than that?
I know, and the answer may be no one, but I know the Big Ten, man, and some of these coaches are in positions where they're fighting for their jobs too. So when you go on the road at Illinois, you go on the road at Minnesota, or even Indiana up there with Allen fighting for his job, I think that someone's going to sneak up and beat them. But, saying Wisconsin's going to win the Big Ten West, usually that wouldn't be a surprise. So it'd be like you can't even pick them as a surprise team. Do you think more people aren't picking them to do well in the Big Ten because they were 7-6 a year ago, or just because it's year one for Luke Fickell?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think it's the uncertainty, right? You get this in a lot of places, and people fall on either side of the coin. I tend to fall on, I think it's a huge advantage now with the transfer portal the way it is. Without the transfer portal, where you had to legitimately build that roster up, you may get a grad transfer for a year, but he's only there for a year. You may get a big-time transfer, but he has to sit out a year, can't play until year 2, or there's an injury he's coming off of. Now, you can just have this mass exodus of players that you don't want, and if you're good enough at recruiting, have an influx of players that are proven commodity. Because what is the transfer portal nowadays? It's free agency, right? Combined with NIL. You're getting a proven commodity. It's like trading for a player in the NFL as opposed to drafting a player. Your recruiting is like drafting. You're projecting. I think this guy is going to end up being this on our level. We haven't seen it yet. We don't know. There's no such thing as a sure thing. But if I go get Tanner Mordecai, well, Tanner Mordecai's played at this level. Now, maybe not in the Big Ten. Maybe the conference scene wasn't as quality, but he's not going to be overwhelmed by what's in front of him. He's played in big games against big teams. So it's giving you the ability to have that sneak attack, right? That hey, guess what? First year in there, maybe not a lot of people are expecting things. Coaches haven't called plays against me. It's one thing to have a scouting report. It's another thing to actually call plays against somebody and play the game once you get in the rhythm to it. So I just look at this schedule. And right now, I feel confident saying that Wisconsin's going 10-2. I do.
Yeah, that's aggressive. I like
that. Is. I can see it there. Luke Fickell does a great job. I'm going to go with another letdown this year. That's going to be Michigan State Spartans.
I agree 100%.
You lose your quarterback and Keon Coleman, your best receiver. One went to Florida State, the other one went to Auburn.
Kenneth Walker in there anymore?
Kenneth Walker got Mel Tucker that contract, let's be honest. Let's look at the schedule. I mean, week 1, you got Central Michigan. Not a walk in the park. No. It's not just an easy game to go in. All right, you got Washington week 3 at home. You go to Iowa. You go to Rutgers. You go to Minnesota. You go to Ohio State. You have Penn State to end the season at home. You go to Indiana the week before that. But who are you comfortable with right now if you're Michigan State? Noah Kim is probably going to be your starting quarterback. And the little games that he played last year, you watch, wasn't really excited about. The defense didn't look the same. I know they went 5-7 last year. And a couple of those games they should have lost, in my opinion. So I think they might only win 3 games this year. win Michigan State.
As long as one of them in the big house.
So
Y'all beat them by 50.
So let me get this right.
You say that. That's a rivalry game.
Hey, hold on. So they play Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State?
Yeah.
Oh.
They got Michigan, Michigan at home. They
Oh.
got 2 Ohio State in the year, and they play Washington.
Dear
week 3.
Mel,
Play Washington
thanks
week
for
3.
the memory.
Play Richmond week 2.
This is why you don't give some, and this happens all the time as we close it up here. This is why the ADs that freak out after the first year of success, somebody comes in and has a good year, and they just, what I say, Heath Ledger, Joker, right? What do they do, David? What do they do? They just lose their minds. And they're like, hey, here's all the money and gold we have.
Gene Chizik.
Here's my son. You know what I'm saying? Here's everything we've ever accumulated for 1 year. And guess what? To quote Coach Rick Weiss, you got Kenneth Walker, you got lucky. You got lucky. And this is why you don't do it. We see it all the time. And then all of a sudden it's, and that's what's going to happen. Smells like 4-8, boys. Smells like 4-8.
Boy, that would be tough.
Oh, you
That's
hate
gonna
that.
Be tough for Spartans.
Yeah. Deep down, you do.
Yeah,
I mean, me personally, well, it's like if Michigan beats Michigan State, you want them to have had a good season, you know. But yeah, at the same time, I'm not going to be crying about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, as an Auburn fan, if we could beat Alabama and they also go 0-12, I would. That's
you beat them 30-7 last year. So I mean,
they were lucky to get 7. I think they scored early. I think they went up 7-0, didn't they?
Look, we'll see. We'll see. Like maybe Mel Tucker can get this thing turned around. But if not, I think it really speaks to how great of a coaching job Mark D'Antonio did while he was there.
For sure.
That guy was a heck of a ball coach.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Don't confuse him with D'Antoni, the former NBA coach. But let us know. Give us your surprises from each conference, good or bad. Make sure you subscribe, and we're coming back live soon. Can't wait.